Accounts people, time to go back to errors, but now we're going to focus on the ones that are disclosed by the trial balance. This means that the trial balance doesn't balance. Debit and credit sides are different. We will need to draw up a suspense account and then clear it. A variety of errors, just categories that are very general, and a particular error may actually occur in more than one category. However, somewhere along the line, from invoices, daybooks, ledger accounts, or just transferring into the trial balance, add debits and credits do not equal. So what we're going to do is have a look at a whole range of options rather than actually trying to solve everything that can possibly happen. I would mention that creating and clearing a suspense account is in a separate video. So we know we're going to have a suspense account. Also mentioned they're also almost redundant on a computer system, but they can happen. We could get our opening balances wrong, so that's just essentially missing off an entry and an omission, a single-sided omission. Or we could actually post into the suspense account. If, for instance, we didn't know which account to post something into, we can post into the suspense account on most computer systems and then move it out later. This would of course allow the transaction to be posted and VAT, for instance, to be claimed back. The cause is, well, miscalculations in the daybooks, and if we do that, go back to bookkeeping transactions, we then transfer that error into the ledgers. We could also miscalculate it in the ledger itself, so we just added it up wrong, so it's only that ledger that will need correcting. We could misposted amount, so we put the wrong amount in, and then again that ledger with the error will need correcting. We've missed out one entry or two if there's VAT included, means that debits and credits don't balance. We could also post it to the wrong side, but not a complete reversal, that's not shown by the trial balance. We've got to reverse the errors and then use the suspense account to balance off the difference. We could also just transfer to the trial balance incorrectly figures, side or omission, so add to the trial balance and clear the suspense account. Either way, it's all about the fundamental rule of debits equaling credits being broken. So sample entries, so they're in little groups, but they're not absolute. This case we've missed an entry off, so only the debit entry has been completed for the purchase by cheque of £200 worth of stationery. So the debit entry was the stationery, that one's okay. So in this case we can put the bank entry in and then balance it off with a suspense account. We've missed this one off the trial balance, so £45,000 worth of purchases missed off the trial balance. That's a big suspense account. Put it in, debit the purchases, credit the suspense account to balance it off. So most often the suspense account does actually just simply balance off errors. Then we've got 1 out of 3 entries missed, so let's have a look. So debit purchases, which one was missed? It was a purchase ledger control account. Whichever one was missing, it would still cause a trial balance issue. It would still cause a suspense account. In this case, so we just credit the purchase ledger control account as normal and balance it off with the suspense account. Now we're getting a bit more complicated because we are getting a few more alternative ways of clearing these accounts. So the wrong numbers on one entry. So if we'd done it on both entries, it would be an error of original entry. It wouldn't have been disclosed by the trial balance. But what we've actually done, it should have been 46. We put £64 into our stationery account. So if we remove it, that's crediting stationery with the 64. The suspense account balances it off, or is the double entry, and then post correctly debit the stationery with the 46 again, as almost treating it as two journals. We then credit the suspense account with the 46, or we could have done the removal, the 64, post it correctly, and then the £18 is the balancing. So check how many rows you've got, read the instructions, and if they wanted you to do it this way, it would say something along the lines of balance off the journal with a single entry into the suspense account. So they give you a hint that they want the single entry into the suspense account. So now we've got a really careless error, or starting to get careless. We've missed zeros off. Well, that happens all the time, so that's not so bad. We've missed zeros off purchases and the purchase ledger control account. but apart from that, everything's the right side and the VAT's right. So again, options, this one is just changing the difference. Does make it difficult to trace, but it does clear it nice and easily. So we've debited the purchases, not that it's a problem. Crediting the purchase ledger control account, that'll make it a bit awkward to trace, because we do like to know who the purchase ledger control account reconciles with and which suppliers, and then a single entry to clear the suspense account. But we could have gone a little bit more logical and a little bit more step by step, again following the instructions of your accountants, auditors, seniors, or whatever the exam says. This one, I've removed the suspense account and removed the purchases and then balanced it off with a suspense account, removed the purchase ledger control account, double entered into the suspense account, and then posted correctly with the double entries being a suspense account all the way. So different ways of doing it. I could have turned those 1, 2, 3, 4 suspense accounts entries into one debit entry as well, so I would have had less rows to deal with. Now we've got a wrong number in the trial balance, so this one just needs removing because it's the wrong number. We could, in theory, as it's only in the trial balance, we could have done a correction of £9,000, but that's less auditable, less visible. So we've put 54,000 in, so we're going to remove it. So we've credited purchases, there's a double entry, and then posted, there's the double entry. Again, suspense account could have just been the £9,000 with the 54 and the 45,000 as per instructions. So now we're getting onto the wrong side of account, so we're actually getting towards the end of this list, which is, we cannot make a comprehensive list, we can just try and make lots of samples and suggest different ways. So all about reading the instructions. So now we've got something the wrong side of account, so we've purchased some stationery and we've credited to stationery only. It would have been an error reversal if we'd done the bank or whatever, the other entry was wrong as well. So remove the stationery, that means we debit it, and double enter into the suspense account, post it correctly with a double entry, and again the suspense account could have been a single line of £800, whatever number of rows you've got, whatever the instructions say. And now we've just put something on the wrong side of the trial balance. Again, we've got the option remove the stationery and double enter into the suspense, post it correctly, double enter into the suspense. We could have put £4,800 in suspense as a single row credit, or we could, as it's only in the trial balance, it doesn't affect the ledgers and it's not going to go past the extended trial balance, we could actually have debited stationery with 4,800 and credited suspense 4,800, whatever instructions you are given. So we always have this problem to explain to students why we use a particular method. Well, do we use a single balancing entry for suspense, or treat it as a double entry? Or do we remove and then post instead of just do the straightforward correction? Well, it's all about verifiability and auditing, making your corrections clear to others, so that other people must be able to look, whether it's on a computer or manually, and try and work out what you've done. So sometimes we're just following the instructions of a senior accountant or an auditor and doing the way we've been told to, or the way it's normally done in that particular company or that particular business. One thing I would always say to students, if you're preparing accounts that are going to be audited and you make them scratch their head wondering what you've done, why have you debited this or credited this in a journal, you've added about £75 to their bill at least. So the idea is to use the journals and the narratives to try and make it as clear as possible.